Hello, I'm Zoe Fox, and I am passionate about helping people to heal their past, activate their spiritual energy, and get onto their soul path. And I'm just putting the feelers out into the world so that I can connect with the people that are out there that match my frequency, to the people who would benefit, hopefully, from some of the things that I've been through in life and some of the ways that I've found that we can heal, we can activate that spiritual energy, and we can step out into our soul path. So, I'm a mother, I'm 42, I am a wife, I'm based in London, I'm from Birmingham, England originally, and my life journey has been one that has taken me into some very dark places, and I've worked through it. I found a process that has helped me to connect to my light, and that has then become my mission to share that with other people, because there was a point in my life where I felt stuck. I was in despair actually about how bad life felt. And there were times when I really felt like life was cursed. I'm like, what is this life? Who put a hex on me from the moment I was conceived? Because bad things seem to happen. And I spent a lot of my life feeling sorry for myself. So I found this process, or discovered this process, through these repeated cycles of having to work my way out of trauma, that I've then gone on to use to help other people to come through their most difficult times and step onto the path of their soul light. So I've got a book that's coming out next year with Hay House. It's called Activate Your Light. And that book shares this 3-stage process to help you to heal, activate, and to, step into your soul path. So I thought this video would just be a little introduction, because most of the time I'm doing just intuitive downloads or intuitive messages. But I think it's in getting to know the people that we form those deepest connections. So the work that I do is what I would describe as being quite holistic. I bring with me a very rich life experience, back to back with a qualification in counselling, and I've done some certificates in energy healing. So I like to use an integrative approach to help people to move from being stuck in the past to stepping out into their potential. And this isn't about anything elaborate. It's about waking up every day with a sense of purpose. It's about waking up with a desire to live and to enjoy life, even when the inevitable stuff, the inevitable challenges crop up. And I don't think anyone's immune to it. I think some of us have had probably more things to overcome than perhaps some others, which is why I feel like with everything that I've been through, it's my sole duty to come here now to share what I've learned so that I can help you too if you're feeling a little bit stuck. So the way that I work is by just getting a little bit of an understanding about you, your life. It's about how we acknowledge the path that we've walked and the impact of what we've been through, and how sometimes we can believe that some of our characteristics, our character traits, we believe it's just a natural part of who we are, but much of the time it can be a trauma response. So some of it is just unpicking what's happened to us, who we are, and some of the defense mechanisms that we've formed over the years to try and protect us from some of the things that have been painful. And then it's looking at ourselves as an energetic entity. And so many of us, I don't know why, but maybe because it's not as tangible to grasp, but so many of us fail to see ourselves as these energetic beings, these powerful energetic beings. But I mean, I guess if you're watching this, you might be using Wi-Fi, or you might be listening through earpods, and you're not doubting that because you're receiving the benefit of it. You're seeing how it works. But we too are energetic beings, and when we get a handle of our energy and our energy system, we can optimize it so that we can move through life more effectively, we can become more resilient, and most importantly, I think that, you know, so many people want this ability to manifest, and I don't think that you can do that effectively without getting a handle on yourself as an energetic being. Because when we start to understand our energy system and our energy body, and start to bring together all these different components of ourselves, that's when we can really optimize our potential and our ability to manifest what we want in life. And the reason that I'm so passionate about this work is because I've been in very dark places. I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to suffer with PTSD. I know what it's like to suffer with anxiety disorder. But now I live a very free life. And it doesn't mean that life is without its challenges. Like, you can't control what happens around you, but you can refine your process of responding so that, not that it becomes water off a duck's back, because we still have to go through and very much feel, but so we go through life knowing that when things arise, that with it comes a richness in its potential to help us to learn and grow and to get to the next level. So I grew up in Birmingham in 1980s as a mixed race kid, and that brought with it its own sort of complexities in trying to figure out my place in the world. Grew up with a black Caribbean mother and a white British father in a very loving home, but it was still this kind of process of these two worlds, trying to find my way between the two. In Birmingham in the 80s as well, where, you know, yeah, race came with some challenges. It's just that sense of difference. We all experience it in one way or another, but for me it was, you know, that part of my identity was a challenge that I needed to kind of figure out my place within it all. So when I was 18, I had a boyfriend who died very suddenly of cardiac arrest, and that experience really sent me spiraling into a very dark place, as I'm sure you can imagine. At 18, I was not expecting anything like that to happen in my life, and it really shook the very foundations and the core of my existence. And I lived with a very dark, deep depression and anxiety that spanned for over a decade after his death. I just wasn't equipped to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. I succumbed to the trauma and had a really hard time. I was living with heart palpitations. I was scared to leave the house. I wasn't getting on at work. I had no sense of purpose. I was getting up in the morning, sitting on my bed, just like, oh, I've got to get through another day. Doing a job that was absolutely soulless. But I didn't see the potential that I had in myself. I didn't see what I was capable of. I just felt like I was the sum parts of the trauma that I'd been through. So I had quite a difficult time of it, until eventually, some 12 years later, I just wasn't functioning at work. I got to a point where I just couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was just thinking, is this what life is? Is this what I'm here for? This miserable, dark, horrible existence. And around a similar time, I'd lost my beloved granddad, who I'd loved so much, and everything just got on top of me. And I remember at the time walking along the train platform, really considering terminating my existence because I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But for whatever reason, there was just this little voice within. I mean, and also the thought of my parents, my beautiful parents, that kept me going. But there was this like rumbling within that was telling me that I was here for something more. And I'm so glad that I didn't end my life and have a very permanent solution to what was actually a temporary situation. And I feel so blessed to be here today and to have done the work that I've done, to have come out through the other side and to be living this beautiful life, which, as I say, is not without its challenges, but I see beauty everywhere I look now. And I want that for everybody else as well, if that's what you want too. So after having what was effectively a nervous breakdown, I spoke to someone in my HR department at work. Well, I think they spoke to me because I was struggling to get in because my anxiety was so bad. I was having panic attacks on the train. My immune system was shot because I was just riddled with anxiety and depression. I was always ill, constantly tonsillitis or flu or cold, like whatever was going around, my immune system was receiving it. So I ended up having some sessions with a therapist, and those sessions changed my life. With just a couple of questions, she challenged some of my deepest patterns that I'd just been running on repeat. And it provided me with the opportunity to pause and think, hang on a minute, what you mean? So I don't have to think like that. There is an alternative way of being. And once I grasped that, it was like, wow, you mean life doesn't have to be as heavy and as painful. So from there, I went on to study counselling at Birkbeck University of London. And just the process of doing that alone was so transformative for me, for my mental health, for what I was able to then share to support the people around me. I didn't go on to be a counsellor. Actually, I went on to start a business with my brother and our business partner, setting up a digital marketing agency, which taught me so many lessons in entrepreneurship. And also that perhaps siblings are not always the best business partners, shall we say. So whilst I was working, building the business with my brother and our partner Danny, excuse me, I was going through a very long fertility battle as well. I mean, amongst this, I haven't even mentioned the abusive relationship that I was in when I was at my darkest point and having to find the courage to get out of that. But at this point now, I'd met my now husband, and we'd been trying for a baby for a long time. I think I was just so stressed and anxious that my body was just not up for hosting life. So we had 7 years of infertility with a couple of rounds of IVF and all the other tests and things that you have to go through to try and figure out why you're not conceiving. And I was told that I was perimenopausal and had low ovarian reserve. And after the second failed round of IVF, and if you've been through it, you know what a grueling process it is. I was just like, I don't know whether I can go through that again. So I decided to me and my husband, just to focus on living. And then we were surprised with a spontaneous pregnancy. And so now I'm a mother. But even through that process of pregnancy and labour, I had a very difficult time. I had symphysis pubis disorder, which meant that I was on crutches for 6 months during pregnancy. I had a very traumatic birth where I ended up having to have an emergency section, and as a result of sepsis. And also I ended up having a hemorrhage as well. So, you know, you've got this new baby and you're practically fighting for your life, and it's just that level of overwhelm and responsibility for this new life when you'd literally just been dying, you know. So that was quite a lot to process. And then on my daughter's first birthday, I sustained a spinal cord injury at level 4 and 5 of my spine, which meant that I became suddenly paralysed on the day of her birthday party and ended up having to have emergency surgery while my parents took her to her party, because like I thought I was going to go to the hospital and come back and everything was going to be okay. I'd get to the party, we'd be cutting up the cake, but it didn't work out that way. And this all happened at the beginning of the pandemic. So I've had to have emergency surgery. I've been separated from my husband and my daughter. Then in comes the pandemic. It was a wild time. I was sent back to my 3rd floor flat to try and start my life again whilst waiting for a bed in rehab for spinal injuries. But because of the pandemic, it took 13 months for me to get into rehab. But during this process of going through all of these challenges, I've been able to really connect to the magic of life. And in fact, it was in that enforced stillness in the pandemic when I had my spinal cord injury, so I couldn't walk, I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't get out, my phone broke, I was forced into the silence, that I started to receive a lot of wisdom, and things just started really shifting for me. So now, not only was I utilising the skills and tools that I'd learned through the process of going through my counselling training, I was now receiving these spiritual downloads that were just changing my life. And I started sharing those with others, and it started helping them too. So it was from there that I knew that this sense of purpose was emerging for me. And it was that all of the things that I'd been through, all of the hardships, all of the challenges were actually to teach me lessons that I'm then to go back and to share with others to help them to move through their challenges. So that's a little bit about me. And since my spinal cord injury, I've gone on to become an ambassador for the Spinal Injuries Association. I got a publishing deal with Hay House. I was, my book's coming out. Activate Your Light is coming out next May, and that sets out this process of healing to help you. I've got to do some cool things. I've got to speak on the stage about my life experience. I was spotlighted by Cannes Lions Careers in the Making in my work to try and help others to heal and step into their potential. So it's been a wild ride, but I'm here I am now, trying to figure out how to share this message, how to get comfortable being on camera. And it's all a process, but I'm just trusting in taking these awkward steps forwards out my comfort zone, these imperfect steps outwards, that there will be people out there that resonate with my energy, resonate with my message, and just trusting that there'll be something in you, if this has popped up on your timeline, that there's some spiritual alignment that is bringing us together. So if this does feel in line or aligned, then please hit subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, introduce yourself, let me know that that we're forming part of this tribe. And I'm just going to keep sharing. I'm just going to turn up every week, see what comes up. Some of the messages will be intuitive, some of them will be lessons from the book. Yeah, let me know what you need as well. Let this be a co-creative space. What I'm hoping is that we can really build a sense of community, because I think life feels tough. I think the world feels like a heavy place, but when you know that you've got other people that have got your back, people that are looking out for you, people that you can call community, I think everything just feels that little bit easier. So this is me being comfortable, being uncomfortable, in a mission to broadcast a frequency out into the world that is going to resonate with the right people. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about me, I will link my website or my stand store so you can see some of the offerings, the energy healings that I offer, the one-to-one sessions. There's a couple of meditations and things like that. But let's just start to build this this connection and see where life can take us. When I was in my darkest, most depressed place, I never thought I would be here now, about to have a book published with like a leading global publisher in the field of spirituality and personal development. And here we are. So I'm wondering what dreams are living inside you that perhaps have not even had the opportunity to emerge yet. But if we stick together in this community of pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable, I wonder what story you're going to be telling me a year from now, 2 years from now. So yeah, that's it for today. I'm sending you love. I'm wishing you peace. And it would be great to connect. So give me a signal in the comments. Big love, peace out, and I'll catch you next week.